What a girl, what a world, what a life. Oh, I married Joan. What a mind, love is blind, what a wife. Giddy and gay, all day she keeps my heart laughing. Never know where her brain has flown. To each his own. Can't deny that's why I married Joan. I married Joan.
Brad, look what just came in the mail. A letter from my sister Beverly from Fort Williams.
Well, that's better than a bill.
Well, what do you know? That's too bad.
But what is there?
Oh, his leave has been canceled, and they're not coming here for a visit after all.
Oh, what a shame.
Yeah, well, my sister's husband is only a lieutenant, you know. Maybe the sergeant wouldn't let him go.
Yeah, Sergeant. Well, I was looking forward to seeing Bev again and very anxious to meet her husband.
Me too. But I can tell you all about him. Beverly wrote me a complete description of him. His name is Alan. He's 5'10½". He weighs 160 pounds and a quarter. He has brown eyes, brown hair, and a brown uniform to match.
Thanks. I feel as though I've known him for years.
Hello, darlings.
Hello.
I am so terribly sorry I'm late, but Eleanor Carpenter's giving an engagement party for her daughter Eunice, and she wanted me to go over the guest list with her and make sure all the right people were invited.
I didn't know the Carpenters were so ritzy.
Oh, yes. And I have been in such a terrible whirl all week. You know, my cousin is in town. He's an army man, you know, and they're awfully social.
My sister Beverly just married an army man a couple of months ago. Maybe he knows your cousin.
Oh, I hardly think so, dear. No, my cousin Horace is a colonel, and they very rarely come into any contact with privates, especially buck privates.
For your information, Penelope Winthrop, my sister's husband is not a private, especially a buck private.
Well, what is he?
He's a general, that's what he is.
General? What's his command?
Oh, forward march, halt, left face, retreat, he knows them all.
No, Joan. I mean, where is he stationed?
At Fort Williams.
I didn't know Beverly married a general.
Neither did I. I mean, it surprised us when it happened, too.
Well, you know, that's strange, because my cousin is stationed at Fort Williams, and he never mentioned that the commanding general was getting married.
Well, you know how it is in the Army. The generals rarely come in contact with colonels, especially buck colonels.
Mrs. Stevens?
I'm Mrs. Stevens.
There's a long-distance call for you from Fort Williams.
Fort Williams must be my sister Beverly. Oh, Hello? Beverly, darling. Well, how did you know I was here? Oh, you got Brad at the office. How's the general? Oh, that's nice. What? You are coming after all? Tomorrow? Oh, boy, I can hardly wait to see the both of you. Yes, we'll have the spare rib room all ready for you, dear. Uh-huh. Goodbye, dear.
Well, you are going to give a reception for them, aren't you, Joan?
A reception? No.
Well, I'm sure Beverly would want all her friends to meet the general, if he is a general.
Well, of course he is. You don't think that I was lying, do you?
Oh, no, darling, not at all. But some people might. And the best way to put an end to any doubts is to have a reception and let everybody come and see for themselves.
All right, I'll have a reception, and I'll let you meet my brother-in-law, the general.
Here you are, ladies. Chinese fortune cookies.
Oh, I wonder what the future holds in store for me.
Oh, open it, Joni. Let's see.
When you opened this cookie, you read the fortune we put in it. But when you opened your mouth, you just stuck your foot in it.
Joni, I I still say this is all unnecessary.
Well, I want Beverly's husband to feel at home. He's a military man, so I gotta give him a military reception.
Well, I suppose I'm lucky it isn't a 40-gun salute.
This is the best I could do, Brad. Listen. It's them, Brad. It's them.
Bam!
Brad, how are you? Joni! So you're Alan. Why, you're just like Beverly described you, right down to the brown uniform.
And Joan, you're just the way that Beverly described you, except that you're much prettier.
Oh, he's a doll.
Haven't had a chance to kiss the bride.
Brad, this is Alan.
Oh.
I've heard a lot of wonderful things about you, Judge Stevens.
Well, thank you, Alan, and you can call me Brad. All my friends do, and my wife's brother-in-law certainly should.
Hey, you kids must be awfully tired after your long trip. Now, you just sit right down here and tell me all about everything.
Oh, well, you know, we had to cancel the trip at first on account of maneuvers.
But then the general maneuvered the maneuvers to next month, so here we are.
Oh, the general did it, huh? Say, Alan, I'll bet you and the general are pretty friendly, being in the same army and all that, huh?
Well, not exactly. As a matter of fact, the general and I aren't buddy-buddies yet.
Well, I think Alan will agree with me that lieutenants and generals are like pickles and ice cream. They just don't mix.
Oh, Brad, I don't think that's very kind of you. After all, Alan may not be a general, but he's certainly not a pickle. You can
No offense, I was just kidding.
I'll get it.
Yeah.
Oh, my.
Hello, Joan.
Oh, Penelope Winthrop, you're the last person I wanted to expected to see. Brad, you know Penelope.
Oh, of course.
Yes.
How are you, Penelope?
Fine, thank you, Brad.
And Penelope, you know Brad.
Oh, only for the past 10 years. Oh, you must be Joan's sister Beverly, aren't you?
Oh, yes, you're Joan's sister Beverly, aren't you? How is Joan? I'm just fine. Brad, why don't you take Alan out to the garage and show him the new tire you got on the car? Well, you know, the rubber one, the nice.
Oh, yes, of course, dear. Alan, will you come out in the garage? I want to show you. How are things in the army? Well, tell me all about it.
Joan? That young man is wearing a lieutenant's uniform. I thought you said Beverly was married to a general.
Oh, she is. But you see, the general was delayed for a little while, so he sent the lieutenant on ahead.
But Joan...
You see, the lieutenant is the general's aide-de-camp, so he's camping here for a while.
Oh, I see. But your husband will be here, won't he, dear?
Oh, yes, of course.
Oh, good. Well, I just wanted to make sure the reception was still on.
Oh, you made sure, all right, didn't you? And now that you've made sure, I wonder if you'd mind excusing us. Beverly is awfully tired after her long trip, and she does need her restroom.
Oh, I'm so sorry. I didn't realize. Yes. Well, I'll run along now, and I'll see you at the reception,
Oh,
Joan.
of course.
Bye, dear.
Bye. Now, Beverly.
Now, my dear sister, would you mind telling me what that was all about?
Beverly, dear, don't get excited. I simply told Penelope that you were married to a general.
What in the world did you tell her that for?
Well, she was bragging about her cousin who's a colonel, and, well, I couldn't tell her that you were married to a measly lieutenant.
Alan is not measly, and we're not rank conscious in the Army.
Oh, honey, don't misunderstand me, dear. I think that Alan is a fine boy. It's just that I told everybody in town that you were married to a general, and I got to produce one for the reception.
Well, I don't see how you're going to do it. It'll be years before Alan's promoted to a general.
Oh, honey, I can't wait that long, dear. I've got to have one day after tomorrow. Now, suppose I got someone to dress up like a general, and you could pretend that you were married to him for the reception.
Me? Pretend to be married to somebody else? Alan would never stand for it.
No, Beverly, don't get excited, dear. Alan wouldn't have to know. We won't even tell him about it. Isn't that a peachy keen idea, huh?
No, it is not a good idea. And, Joan, you haven't changed one bit. I've been home for 10 minutes, and you've already gotten me in the middle of one of your messes.
Well, Beverly, you haven't changed one bit either. You've only been home for 10 minutes, and already you're complaining about being in the middle of one of my messes.
Oh, yeah.
General calls her honey. He thinks it's her name. Poor boy. Oh, Ellen, I'd like you to meet Mrs. Winthrop's niece, Diane.
Hello.
Look at all these decorations. You must be quite a hero.
Frankly, this is the most dangerous situation I've ever been in.
What's that for?
For marksmanship.
You know, boom, boom.
What's this?
That's my good conduct ribbon.
And for your information, he isn't planning to lose it.
Don't Diane and the lieutenant look cute together?
I've never been out with an officer.
Why, I'd like to...
Hello, everybody.
Oh, hello, Brad. Am I glad that you're here, dear. Why don't you take the lieutenant out to the garage and show him the new tire on your car?
Joan, I already did that.
Yeah, I've seen it. It's real nice.
Tell me, do you like my hairdo, Lieutenant?
Well, Beverly! Beverly!
Joan, don't you think he's a little familiar for a general's aide?
Well, it all depends on the kind of aid he gives the general. You see, there's first aid, the second aid, lemonade, orange aid. Hearing aids are nice if you like.
Gee, I was going to ask the lieutenant to take me to the reception.
It's all right, dear. You can call him later. It'll be all right.
Yeah, much later.
Well, I think Diane and I'll run along now.
Oh, tell the lieutenant that I'll call him later.
I will.
What are you going to do, Aunt Penelope? Yeah, hello, Western Union? This is Mrs. Carlisle J. Winthrop. Yes, I would like to send a telegram to the commanding general at Fort Williams. Yes. If you are smart, you will come to 345 Laurel Drive at once to see for yourself how your wife is carrying on.
So, Wally, I've just got to find somebody to make believe he's General Peterson of Fort Williams before that Penelope Winthrop makes me the laughing stock of the whole town.
Gosh, Joni, wouldn't the women recognize me?
Well, of course not. They've never seen you.
And besides, who'd ever think that I was a general?
Why, anybody would.
Huh?
You're the military type. You're strong, erect, keen-eyed, intelligent, a born leader, a man who is not afraid to face any danger. Wally, well, you're another Ulysses S. Grant, or Stonewall Jackson, or Zachary Scott.
You're darn right I am. Okay, Joni, I'll do it. The Army needs me. Men, follow me. Charge!
He'll make a great general. I don't know if he looks like General MacArthur or Chef Milani.
Gee, I wonder what could be keeping the general.
Yes, so do I. I always thought military men were supposed to be so punctual.
Maybe you should have synchronized your watches.
Who cares about the general? Where's the lieutenant?
Beverly, where is the general?
Well, I didn't want to mention this, but he's been detained because he's on maneuvers, secret maneuvers.
Oh, I hadn't heard or read of any troop movements lately.
Oh, well, these maneuvers are so secret, they don't take soldiers on them, just generals.
That's the Army for you. They do.
Hello.
Oh.
Joan, I must have been to 10 stores trying to match this cloth for you. I looked at so many patterns that I got a headache and had to leave.
Oh, well, that's too bad, Alan. Oh, ladies, I would like to present Lieutenant Alan Grossman. This is Mrs. Tompkins, Mrs. Jervis, and you've met Mrs. Winthrop and company. How do you do, Lieutenant?
How do you do?
How do you do, ladies?
Gee, Beverly, you look simply wonderful.
Oh, she certainly does. Tell me, how is married life?
It's just great.
It sure is.
Alan, you said you had a headache. Don't you think you ought to lie down?
I guess you're right. Will you ladies please excuse me?
Oh, yes, of course. But
Oh, he's a wonderful boy. He's the general's aide-de-camp, you know. Does everything for the general.
Yes, does a few things for the general's wife, too.
Excuse me. Oh, Bev, if you get a chance, would you come in and massage my temples the way you always do? It always makes me feel better.
I'll try.
Thanks, honey.
Well, that's a cozy little arrangement, isn't it?
Hello, folks. Oh, come in. Oh, Peterson. Oh, thank you.
Hello. Oh, ladies, I take great honor in presenting to you my brother-in-law, General Peterson, who is the husband of my sister, Beverly.
How do you do?
I don't get.
Hello, dear.
Hello, darling. Oh, well. Oh, my, you've grown so. I mean, I've grown so lonesome thinking of. My goodness, you're lovely. Say.
Oh, General, we've been so impatiently awaiting your arrival.
Yes, well, I was late. I had to do the dishes.
He means for the officers' mess.
Really a mess. Imagine a big general like me getting KP. It's hard to believe.
Almost impossible.
Well, you see, the Army has changed now. They've become very democratic. Everyone does.
Very democratic, my darling.
They make a charming couple.
Hey, Beverly, what are you doing?
Oh, I was just kissing the general.
General?
Yes, sir.
Excuse me, sir.
You better order him to his quarters. Loose lips sink ships.
Lieutenant?
Yes, sir?
Report to your quarters immediately.
Yes, sir.
That's one thing that the general will not stand for, and that's insubordination.
Insubordination?
Yes, sir. Now, anybody like some hors d'oeuvres?
That's it, dear. Pass the.
I just have to tell
General, I suppose you got my wire, huh?
Your what?
Wire.
The wire. Oh, yeah, the wire. And a happy birthday to you, too.
Well, I must say you're very calm about it.
Well, that's the way we generals are, you know. We're trained not to get excited about these things.
What a disgrace. While you're out on maneuvers, your own aide-de-camp carrying on with your wife.
Yes, well, you should see some of their maneuvers.
I hope Alan doesn't give us away.
So do I. I better go in there and see that he stays there.
Shame on you two for monopolizing the general.
That's right. You know, we'd like to talk to him, too. Tell me, General, have you had much combat experience?
You mean before or after I was married?
Oh, what a delicious sense of humor. No, General, I meant in the Army, of course.
In the Army, yes, a lot of experience, yes, indeed. I went all through the campaigns. North Africa, down there with the heat and the sea, and you could hardly see the sea. And then there was, there was a big, the blue of the Mediterranean. You would like that. That was kind of a honey of, and then Normandy with the invasion. That was right up and over the, very deep, too. Yeah, and then on the beach, they had a big Sicily beachhead, you know? That was wet and full run.
I'll bet you had some interesting experiences.
Yes, very rough, I'll tell you. I want to tell you, out there all the time, always under fire. Shrapnel. The whites of their eyes always coming at you. Landmines, forced marches, short rations, bad water. Those dive bombers diving at you all the time, and machine guns never letting up. I'll tell you, it was rough.
You don't have to tell me. I was an air raid warden.
You know, I still have his helmet. I've got it out on the porch now. I've planted it.
I tried to make the lieutenant comfortable.
I'm glad. Well, I'm awfully happy that you came over.
Oh, well.
And that you met the good general.
You see what I mean?
Well, I told you the Army's very democratic now.
You're not as good a marksman as I thought you were. We gotta get rid of that lieutenant. Send him overseas or chain him up someplace. He's spoiling everything.
Come in.
I'm General Peterson.
Well, how do you do, General Peterson?
General Peterson?
Wait a minute. I'm General Peterson.
What is this?
Now, don't anybody get excited. There can be 2 General Petersons. This is a big army. There's certainly room for more than just 1 General Peterson.
I'm the commanding officer at Fort Williams, and I got a wire that my wife was at this address. I had to come to town anyway, so I dropped in to see what this is all about.
Oh, well, General, have you tried the USO? We have a branch on 5th and Main. I understand they're having a big ball down there.
Well, never mind that. What about this wire?
Excuse me just a moment. I sent that telegram. But obviously it was a mistake. Is this woman your wife?
Of course not. My wife is at the post.
The post? They're off and running, and so am I.
Then she is not your wife.
No, she's my wife.
Why? I see. General Peterson, this man has been masquerading as you.
Is that so? Impersonating an officer is a serious charge.
And this is the woman who's at the bottom of the whole thing, right here.
That one there.
Brad, let me at that punch bowl.
Joni, don't be foolish. You can't drown your troubles in punch.
Who cares about my troubles? I'm gonna drown myself.
And you were not aware of this deception, Lieutenant?
Of course not, sir. I still don't know what it was all about.
I can vouch for that, General Peterson.
Well, in that case, Judge Stevens, I think we'll let the whole matter drop.
Oh, thank you, General Peterson. You know, the only reason I got into this mess was that I couldn't stand her crowing over me.
It bothered Mrs. Stevens because my cousin is the well-known Colonel Finch.
Did you say Finch?
Yes, I did.
Horace Finch?
He's my cousin, yes.
For your information, ma'am, Finch is not a colonel.
He isn't.
No, he was a sergeant who always thought he should be a colonel till I had him busted to a corporal. And by the way, he's in your outfit, isn't he, Lieutenant?
Yes, sir, but he's not even a corporal anymore. He was such an 8-ball that I had to bust him to private.
Well, in that case, Penelope, I take great pride in introducing you to my brother-in-law, Lieutenant Alan Grossman of the United States Army. Oh.
I married Joan. What a girl, what a